Hello, and welcome back to Record of the Ear. I'm your host, Ryan Lark, and this is a podcast where I take whatever album I've been obsessed with that week and just dive into it, get in the background, and dive into each and every song, noting the recording of it, the songwriting, and overall album cohesiveness. So this week's Record of the Ear is Rainbow by Kesha. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. It's just so deeply personal to her and so unique to her because it marks a difference between her style change. Before it was all club bangers and stuff, and she returns to the little bit that in High Road in her fourth album, but this is basically like reading her diary almost. It's just so personal to her and it talks about so many of her personal issues in life. And obviously, it talks a lot about the issues she had with her producer, Dr. Luke, and the sexual assault allegations and everything going on with that. But she's even said herself that this album was her way of processing the trauma and the issues that were going on with her at that time. She started writing in 2014. It came out in 2017 while she was getting treatment at a facility for her eating disorder. So obviously it's talking about a lot of serious issues. And she said it, the album saved her life. Like, that's just how songwriters process in some ways. They just have to get it out on paper and out in music and put out their feelings. And obviously it's to our benefit because we get to listen to the incredible artistry that comes from that. She named it Rainbow because it symbolizes hope to her. And this is what it had to be for her. He had to find some kind of hope in it. So I think that's just a really beautiful background and kind of behind the scenes of the album. Personally, I got this album 2017 when it came out for Christmas. My mom got it for me, and bless her heart, she got me the clean version, which is absolutely hilarious because especially like the first track on the album swears constantly. The word is bastards, the name of the song. So like obviously the clean version was like every other bleep, and it's just hilarious to me. But anyway, let's get into a little bit of stats about the album. It is her third studio album. It's a pop album released in 2017. There's 14 tracks on the album, about 48 minutes long. It did debut number one on Billboard Top 200. I think that's the third time in a row that's happened for her. It's been certified gold, nominated for 2 Grammys, Best Pop Vocal Album, and Praying, the leading single, was nominated for Best Pop Solo Performance. The singles on it itself are Praying, Learn to Let Go, Woman, and Him. Also, it was on several year-end lists, notably Billboard and Rolling Stone's Top 100 Albums of the 2010 decade. Not even 2017 itself, but the whole decade, Top 100. And I think it was like in the 70s or so for that. Before we get into the album, I just want to remind you guys to go ahead and listen to the album beforehand or track by track if that's what you're more interested in doing. It would probably just be to your benefit because you won't know what I'm talking about otherwise. And maybe go ahead and listen to it afterwards and see what your opinions are on my opinions and if you agree with me or not. The first track on the album is called Bastards, and it was written by Kesha herself. And this is a very good way to start out the album. It's all about not letting anyone get you down. Don't let anyone talking crap about you make you diminish yourself. Like, just ignore and keep on going. People are going to underestimate you, and that can actually work to your advantage in some ways. It's a very uplifting and powerful message, but not too preachy, which can happen often in songs like that. It's a good way to start out the album because it just starts out with hope immediately. It immediately starts out with stop listening to all those other people, just focus on yourself. And I think that's a nice intro because telling you to focus on yourself kind of shows it's kind of like, okay, now I can focus on myself, and all the other ones are so deeply personal after that. And actually, it leads in really well to the second track, Let 'Em Talk. But for writing, I really like the writing because it's, again, not preachy, which you have to be very delicate about when you're writing a song like this. So I would give it probably 7.5. And recording, I think it really captures your attention the whole time for a song that's almost 4 minutes long, which is kind of fairly long, honestly. So just the fact that you don't get bored and it gets kind of even more exciting, even though it's slow paced, or it's like it's not like a ballad, but it's like probably slow to medium tempo. But for recording, I'll probably give it a 7.5 as well. The second track on the album is called Let 'Em Talk, featuring Eagles of Death Metal, and it was written by Kesha, James Newman, and Stuart Crichton. This is kind of a response to Bastards almost. It's instantly up more beat, up more beat. It's higher tempo, a lot more exciting. Same kind of message of let them talk, don't focus on them. Who cares? Screw them. You're fine. But it's where Bastards, I feel like, was talking. She was talking to herself. This is like her growing as a person and telling someone else and kind of mentoring them and giving them advice. Being like, just screw them. Like, let's just go have fun. Just have fun with your life. Who cares? They're just going to bring you down if you listen to them. It doesn't matter. And again, so funny that I got the clean version of this album, because this song and Bastards are just like swearing literally like every other word. And when I first listened to it, I was like, what is this? Like, what is going on? Why is... And obviously it's just because it was swearing and it was bleeping them out, but I don't even know why they even made a clean version of that album. It doesn't make any sense. It's so weird. But anyways, for songwriting, I really like this one. I actually like it a lot better than Bastards. Even though Bastards is a really good way to start the album, I like the writing on this a lot better. So it's a lot more kooky and crazy, which is more Kesha to me, I guess. And harkens back to the first two albums, but it's still distinct enough to be on this album. So I'd probably give it an 8. And then for recording, I probably like the recording better on Bastards. So I would probably say a 7 for recording on this song. The third track on the album is Woman, featuring the Dap Kings horns, and it was written by Kesha Pearson and Stephen Rabel. This track is so fun and so catchy. It's like just that striking empowerment that Kesha always implores. It's so her and so uniquely her, and I love the horns on this. The horns are so good. I guess the Dap Kings horns are good too, but like the horn musicians, it just adds such a wonderful texture to the song. Obviously, again, it's all about women's empowerment and being confident in yourself, which fits perfectly on this album and goes great. It flows wonderfully from Let 'Em Talk, the previous track. So again, good placement there. But it was written very well and very smartly. She's obviously an incredible writer, which she got her start from. But so for writing, I would probably give, I'll go ahead and give it an 8 as well. And recording, I'm going to give it an 8 as well. The fourth track on the album is Him, another one of the singles. And it was written by Kesha, Cara Silimando, Eric Frederick, Johnny Price, and P.B. Siebert, which is Kesha's mom, who's also a pretty prolific songwriter as well. Obviously, this is one of the singles. It stood out to her as a important song on the album. And it's kind of got the same message as Born This Way by Lady Gaga. It's very, who cares how you were born, you are who you are, and no one should tell you that it's wrong, or just live your life the way it is. It's kind of echoing the same messages as Let 'Em Talk almost and Bastards, but in a different way, and although I'm not sure it does it in a different enough way to warrant an entire track to itself. I feel like this song it doesn't come off as preachy still, but after listening to the previous 3 songs, you're kind of like, okay, is this whole album just going to be about this? Because it's not diverse enough to be, to warrant that many songs about the same topic, I feel. It just kind of gets a little repetitive, even though they are very different songs. the messaging behind all of them are fairly similar enough to be annoying after a while. Although it is a good song in and of itself. I think the uniqueness of the snapping adds a unique element to it. It kind of sounds, it's like obviously echoes the sound of a hymn, with the messaging kind of being the opposite, like almost having a middle finger to religion and stuff like that, which is kind of fun. But yeah, I mean, I think the writing is okay here. I don't love it. I think it's bordering on preachy, but isn't. And because it's echoing the same message as the previous songs, I'm kind of getting a little annoyed of it. So I'll probably have to knock it down a little bit and give it maybe a 6.5 for songwriting and for recording. I do enjoy the recording. I think the recording is much better than the writing here, but again, is getting a little repetitive. So I'll give it a 7 for recording. The fifth track on the album, and the standout track, obviously, is Praying, written by Kesha, Ryan Lewis, Andrew Jocelyn, and Ben Abraham. This is obviously the standout track of the whole album, the highlight point of the whole album, and the most personal one on the whole album. Praying is very obviously a conversation, maybe not even a conversation, just Kesha talking directly to Dr. Luke, her former producer. It is an absolutely incredible song. The whole conversation to him, because it is a conversation, you can tell the whole thing is basically her talking directly to him. Less of lyrics and literally just of like almost like either writing down in like a diary journal or like a letter almost, or speaking it out loud in song form. It's just so deeply personal and told in such an incredible way. Like, the writing here is absolutely incredible, and even more so, the recording is, I mean, superb. Like, every aspect was so thought through and so executed so well. It obviously, as soon as anyone heard this song, I mean, people would always dismiss her as like, oh, she's not a singer. She's just like a pop artist that is auto-tuned, whatever. Like, I feel like everyone was very dismissive of Kesha as a vocalist, but this obviously showed that she can sing very well. When she hits that high note, like, I mean, heads roll. It's literally, if anyone, I would make sure everyone in the world heard this song. I think it's so incredible. I think it's so important for people to hear. I think this was going on at the height of the Me Too movement as well, so it was like even more imperative. Actually, no, I think it was a little before. So, I mean, this is just such an important song, especially for my generation, millennials like to hear. Like, it was such a very defining moment of someone taking back their power and expressing the hurt that they had gone through music, which I think connects everyone and makes it so much more personable and gets the message through so much easier. It's obviously an incredible song. I'm going to give it a 10 for both writing and recording. There's nothing bad about this song. It's just so well done, so perfect. Definitely go listen if you've never listened to it. If you've never listened to it, I mean, I don't know how that's possible, but it deserves to be listened to, and I don't know how it didn't win the Grammy Award for Best Pop Single of that year. Actually, let me look what did win. Shape of You won by Ed Sheeran. Okay, well, there you go. I mean, how does it even compare to Praying? Like, it's not even personal. I don't know. That's a crime. That's crazy. And it was up against, oh my god, it was up against Love So Soft by Kelly Clarkson, Praying by Kesha, A Million Reasons by Lady Gaga, and What About Us by Pink. I don't know about that. That doesn't seem right. Ed Sheeran, I mean, maybe this is just me, but Ed Sheeran's not that great. Anyways, let's just move on to the next track. The sixth track on the album is Learn to Let Go, written by Kesha, Stuart Crichton, and again her mom, P.B. Siebert. This is such an underrated song, I feel like. Learn to Let Go features almost as good vocals on this track and also such a great recording. Um, Again, it's not too preachy. It's about learning to let go of your past mistakes and all your bad decisions in your past and moving forward so you can grow as a person from them and not be held back by them anymore. Um, a great message. Love the writing. Uh, the writing here probably isn't strong, so I'd say the recording is. So maybe that's why it doesn't get as much attention as Praying. Although I don't know if I've ever seen anyone talk about how like great of a song this is. Praying always gets the attention and Old Flames, but that's a little different. It's again features her vocals so well here. Like I'm just so impressed and following Praying. Like that's it. You just hear that high note that she just like holds for so long, and you're just like, wow, Kesha, yeah, you really can see. It's almost like she's saying, yeah, here's me singing like incredibly, and then I'm gonna do it again. Like it's not a one-time thing. Like I'm a singer as well as a like songwriter, musician, whatever, what have you. Um, so yeah, I mean, I just really enjoy the song. I think it's a really good follow-up to Praying, um, and it just fits so well on the album. And yeah, I just love it. So for songwriting, I'll probably give it a 7, and then for recording, I'm gonna give it a 9. Seventh track on the album is called Finding You, and it was written by Kesha, Justin Tranter, and Eric Frederick. This song is a love song, obviously. It's all about finding the person that you're already in love with in the next life, never letting go, like always wanting to be with them even after death, really. It almost gives you a feeling that they're on their deathbed. Whoever Kesha is talking to that she's in love with, she's like, I'll keep finding you no matter where you go. Like, don't worry, this isn't the end for us. We'll keep going afterwards. And it's such a beautiful way to tell a love song. Like, it's very different from traditional love songs, in my opinion. And it's recorded so well. Like it's not like, oh, I love you, like I'll do anything for you. It's like, no, like I'm gonna keep finding you no matter where you are because we need to be together and we are together and we're one unit basically. Like it's again showing not telling, which is so important in songwriting, which is why she's just such a great songwriter. It's because she doesn't need to say I'm in love with you. You know she's in love with him because she's showing you and saying, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to be with you. It's fine. Like there's no doubt in her mind that she'll be with that person eventually, even after they die and after she passes away as well. Um, and the recording of it is just so good. Like it really brings out the emotion in it, even though her vocals don't sound emotional. Like the message mixed with the recording is like very, very emotional and passionate. Like because the lyrics are so emotional, the recording kind of just like didn't need to be, and it emphasized it in a way that's not like pandering almost. Um, I just really love the track, and I think it's such a unique love song. So I'm definitely gonna give it for songwriting an 8, and recording probably an 8. Actually, I'll take that back. I'm gonna give 8.5 for songwriting and 8 for recording. I think it's an incredible song. The eighth track on the album is called Rainbow, the title track, and it was written solely by Kesha. This song is obviously the message of the album, hope, and finding hope in everything. Um, it's basically a conversation with someone, potentially her past self, telling them not to lose hope and always to remember that things get better and things work out. So there's no reason to ever let yourself get into a dark place again. It's very whimsical and fun. I think it works very well as the title track. It's a really beautiful, again, whimsically kooky song that's very Kesha, but also very personable, and people like. It's obviously a message that everyone understands and gets very attainable to understand, but told in a way that's very unique to her and very fun to listen to. So I would probably give it for songwriting. I mean, it's not like I don't think it's up to the level of the other songs, but it's not poorly written. It's written very fun and interesting. So I'll probably give it a 6.5 for songwriting, and for recording, I'll give it a 7. The ninth track on the album is called Hunt You Down. It was written by Kesha and Richard Knowles. This track is returning and echoing her previous albums where it's like kooky, crazy, absurd that made Kesha popular in the first place. It's so funny, so ridiculous, so fun. Got a kooky vibe that's like talking about, oh, this guy wants to settle down for me, he says. Okay, that's fine, but I know you were a player before, so if you do anything that's going to mess with me or you think you're going to play me, like, I'll kill you. And it's just so funny. Like, it's so ridiculous. I think it's such a fun song. Lyrically, it's fun, and I think it is written very well because it's so absurd and crazy, and only Kesha would sing this song or write this song, period. But and that's why I just think it's like so unique and so smart, because it's very unique and very fun, and something that only she could do, which I think makes it a really well written song because it does work and it does fit. So for songwriting, I'm gonna have to give it 7, and for recording, I mean it's also a 7. I think it's just so well written and so well recorded. Like, it's so fun, and you're like smiling while listening to it, even though you know it's like absolute crazy and insane what she's singing about. It's so funny. The 10th track on the album is called Boogie Feet, featuring Eagles of Death Metal. Again, the same people that were on Let 'Em Talk. It was written by Kesha, her mom, and Drew Pearson. The song is all about not caring about material things, basically, and having good values in life, but it's kind of disguised in this crazy, kooky, fun song that Kesha is like signature Kesha. I think it's very easy to write off this song as another dumb, like kooky Kesha song, but it's obviously got like a very good message still. Like, just because it's crazy and fun doesn't mean it doesn't have a serious tone to it in the lyrics and a serious message. Like, there's no need, like, the message is all about you don't need all this crap. That's what's making you unhappy. Like, the real thing is just having fun and like appreciating what you do have and what you can do in life. And just like have fun, dance, who cares? It's like enjoyable. So that's why I really like this song, is because it's, again, it's a good, fun message that's palatable and easy to hear because it's in this fun, kooky song that she sings. So for songwriting, I would probably give it, honestly, like a 7.5. I think it's written really well, and the recording, I don't know if I don't think it takes away, because it makes it palatable and makes it fun, and you still get the message through it, because the recording emphasizes the lyrics and it embodies the lyrics itself, because you can tell she's having fun singing it. Like, the message of the song matches the recording of it, if that makes sense. Like, it goes very well together. Like, it just makes sense. So for that reason, recording, I'm going to give, like, honestly, like an 8. I think it's very smartly done. The 11th track on the album is called Boots, written by Kesha, Eric Frederick, Roger Shahid, and Justin Tranter. This is by far my favorite track on the whole album. I mean, I love Praying, and I think it's an incredible song, but this is my favorite track, I guess, aside from that one on the album. It is so fun, and it's such an interesting song that, again, only Kesha would be able to pull this off. Like, so kooky fun. It's about basically being in the honeymoon period of a relationship and, like, always constantly, like, hooking up everywhere and always being around them. And again, the line is, you love me wearing nothing but your boots. So obviously they're hooking up, but it's just so fun. And the recording of this is really what makes it stand out. It's so well recorded. Like, her lyrics sound great. It's fun and kooky and interesting. The bridge is absolutely incredible. And right after the last chorus, after the bridge in the last chorus, it just is so interesting and so fun, and she makes it so exciting and kooky. It's got like a weird eagle cry in the beginning that doesn't make any sense, but somehow fits still. It's just so weird and fun, and I absolutely love it. It's I don't know why this wasn't a single on the album. This would have been such a good single, but um, yeah. So for songwriting, I'm gonna have to say the songwriting is not the strong suit here. Definitely the recording. So I'll probably give the songwriting a 7.5, and then recording, I think it's like a 9.5. I love this track. It's so good. The 12th track on the album is called Old Flames Can't Hold a Candle to You, featuring Dolly Parton, even though it's like more of a duet, I would say, than a feature. And it was written by her mom, P.B. Siebert, and Huff Moffat. This is a cover of the original song written by her mother. It was originally released in 1978 and has been recorded by a lot of people, including Dolly herself, and released on her album Dolly, Dolly, Dolly in 1980. But this is a very personal song for Kesha because obviously it's working with one of her idols, Dolly Parton, but it's also personal because she's recording a song that written by her mother a long time ago and breathing new life into it. It's about Kesha telling their lover that there's no reason that they need to be afraid of their old flames, quote unquote, because their current love is stronger and makes them not think about those past people at all because their relationship is so strong. It's such a great song, and that her voice melds so well with Dolly's. It's truly, I was very surprised because when you think Kesha, you don't really think Dolly Parton, but somehow their singing styles really flow well together in this. Like, it's very melodic and like soft and consoling, which is the message of the song. It's done very well, and obviously it's a important song to her mom and her, that connects her mom, her, and her idol Dolly Parton. It's incredible that she got to work with her on this track, and yeah, I mean, I think it's a great song. But for songwriting, I mean, it's weird because it's a cover. It is a really well written song, so I'd probably give it like a 7.5. And recording, I mean, if it's got Dolly and Kesha on it, and somehow it still works. Again, I don't know how Kesha keeps making these like weird fits work for her. It's obviously a testament to her talent and ability. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it an 8 because they both sound incredible on it. The 13th track on the album is called Godzilla, and it was written by Kesha's mom, P.B. Siebert, Claire Wilkinson, and Nathan Chapman. This song it's all about taking someone, the little monster, or the monster around, and them ruining things. What happens when you take them places, and tragedy always happens, but it sounds, and there's a lot of theories that originally that came out about the song thinking it was about an abusive relationship, but it's actually about Kesha when she was younger, because Kesha's mom wrote it. She wrote it about how her daughter, when she was younger, she was like a little monster, and every time she would take her like to the mall or something, she would just like wreak havoc and like cause a scene. So in a way, it's actually very adorable and cute, like just a song about Kesha when she was young. Like, I think that is so cute and whimsical, and obviously the song itself is so whimsical and fun and lighthearted, because I mean, the lyrics could be taken a lot more seriously, and sound much more severe if it wasn't for the whimsical nature of it. So, it's like cutesy and not like, oh, you're an actual monster. It's like, oh, you little monster, like, you're cute and I still love you. But, so for that reason, I think the writing is really good here. I love the song. It's such a unique, different song, and it's just a cute message once you understand that it's about her daughter and not about like an abusive relationship or something. So I'm going to have to give it probably like an 8 for songwriting. I think it's just so cute and fun, and The whimsical recording of it, I would probably give it a 7. The last track on the album, track number 14, is called Spaceship and is written by Kesha Drew Pearson and her mom, PB Siebert. This song is so weird. It's all about, if it wasn't Kesha, period, she, you would think it's about someone not feeling like they fit in and they're waiting to go to a different place where they do fit in. But because it is Kesha, you're like, oh no, she actually believes that she's an alien and that there's gonna be a time when, after she dies or when she's about to die, the aliens are gonna come back and swoop her up as if it was like some weird experiment. And you know that's true because at the end, she goes on a monologue about how she's leaving the Earth and she's just recycled stardust and um, in the ocean of human endeavor and yada yada yada. Nothing's real, love is everything, and she knows nothing. I mean, it's all just a little too meta and a little too out there for me. It's very woo woo. Um, yeah, it's that is not for me, but because it's Kesha, I can see how people might like it, and obviously she definitely believes it. I think she's being entirely serious, honestly. Um, it is over 5 minutes, and the monologue does add like about a minute to it, but like it is very kooky in almost an off-putting way because it just like to me doesn't fit with the rest of the album. It's because it's so out there and it's it is again talking about like hope and whatever like in a very weird way. So, but as far as like the actual song, it's too long. A the monologue uh, probably could have been moved up and cut the song about in half to make it a better recording for me. The songwriting itself, I think, is a little boring at times and a little too repetitive. So I'm honestly probably gonna have to give it a 5.5 for songwriting and recording. I'm gonna give it a 5 because it's just way too long and it just keeps going on and on. And you're like, okay, what is going on here? But yeah, it was for me a disappointing end to it. I understand her intent was to kind of shift the focus into something bigger than herself. Um, but I think it could have been done a different way. Although it's very Kesha, and this is her like self-titled album almost because it's so personal. Like those are usually the most personal albums for an artist. So I feel like this is almost hers, and this song is very her. It's just it's not relatable to me at least. So I I don't think it fits in well here. But I guess looking at the overall album and its cohesiveness, obviously the theme here, rainbow, hope, um, finding yourself and living your truth, quote unquote, is the common thread throughout the album, and I think it does that very well. I will say, like Rainbow, there's I feel like it's split in like two halves. From track one all the way through Rainbow is very much about finding your inner confidence and finding and working through your inner demons and your past and whatever it is. And then once Rainbow happens, it kind of shifts to hope and kookiness and fun and passion. Not that there wasn't passion before, but it's a lot more whimsical and a lot more hopeful, um, which I think was the whole point of it. Because Kesha, again, people I feel like would easily write her off as she's just like so weird. She's not really paying attention to the details, but I think she obviously is paying attention to the details and very intentional with how she puts together this album. So the second half is again very kooky, very fun, um, but it still has deep and important messages, just as the first half does. They're just not as they're not talking about as serious of issues. They're talking about more fun and lighthearted topics. Again, the hopeful, fun stuff that makes life worth living. A lot about love, a lot about Yeah, actually, it is all about love pretty much. Whether that's love for a friend, love for a family member, love for a partner. It's a common thread of love up through the halfway through, which again I feel like is very intentional because she talks about in Rainbow the only point of it is of life is love, pretty much. Um, yeah. So I think that fits very well, and I think it has a really good common thread through it. All of the songs fit very well together. Him, I would say, again, is an outlier that's like a little. You start to lose it, but then immediately are drawn back after, like, once you hit praying after it. So I think the placement is very smart for that, whether that was intentional. But I would say maybe you could nix him. Um, Spaceship either needs to be completely altered and cut in half or just completely removed. I don't know how you would end the album. I mean, I think Old Flames would be a good way to end it, maybe. Maybe move Old Flames to the end, but yeah. I mean, if I was to completely nix Spaceship, I would move Old Flames to the end, and that would be how I ended the album. But I think she intentionally wanted to end it with something that was talking about something bigger than yourself. A spaceship, whether that's aliens, obviously, in her universe, or just the cosmos, or a god, or whatever it is. Um, that's very smart, but I would have probably done it in a different song, um, or written in a different way. But again, it's Kesha's album, so she obviously gets to do whatever she wants, and she ended it on a very personal and unique to her song. So I guess I can't criticize it too much for that, but I think the album's absolutely incredible. Aside from those two minor details, I think the fit and the order of the songs works really well and is very intentional and is very fun. I wouldn't skip any song in this album, even him, maybe Spaceship, just because you start to like drone on a little too long. But if it's the last track on the album, I'm not gonna skip it. Um, yeah, I mean, it's really enjoyable. I really like it. And so for overall cohesiveness, I would probably give it, honestly, like an 8. Like, it's just really well done. Actually, no, it deserves to be higher. Probably an 8.5. This is an exceptional album. Easily her best album to date. Um, and obviously, it's got great songwriting. I would say songwriting is not even the strong suit here. I think the recording is just as unique and interesting and well done as the writing, which is a hard feat to do for a songwriter. Because the challenge there is always to elevate the recording to what the writing is. But yeah, so totaling that up, the average for songwriting was 7.5. The recording was 7.7, and because the cohesiveness of the album was 8.5, that comes out to 23.7. Wow, that is very close, the closest one we've had so far. Unfortunately, that does not beat out Jolene by Dolly Parton, which was a 24.4, hard to beat. But it was a valiant try, and if anyone could do it, Kesha almost did. And she did actually have Dolly on one of her tracks, pretty incredible. And I'm sure she was very excited about that, having your idol on a track. But yeah, if you haven't already, strongly encourage you to go back and listen to the album as a whole and kind of, I mean, think through, like, what did you think of my opinions? Did you agree with them? Did you disagree with them? Do you think any tracks should have been moved around? Feel free to let me know, either in a 5-star review, hint, hint, on Apple Podcasts, or go ahead and reach out on Instagram at Record of the Year Podcast. That is year without the Y. Let me know your thoughts in whatever album or episode that you were just listening to. I'm always willing to hear it because, again, I don't have anyone else to talk to about these things. So, yeah, just love to hear your thoughts on whatever album. And also, I would strongly encourage you to support the artist that you're listening to. Kesha obviously has given a lot to her audience. She's been so vulnerable and so incredible and given so much on this album and her previous albums. She's been through a lot, so make sure you support the artist, whether that's listening on Spotify, by streaming if that's all you can give, but also through purchasing the album. I strongly encourage everyone to do, because whether that's a digital or physical copy, like, you don't artists get next to nothing for streaming. It's really, I don't want to say ruined, because it has ruined it. It's made music a lot more accessible to people, but streaming has also taken away from artists because they don't get the money they used to from it. So I strongly encourage, if you can and if you want to, I would encourage you to go out and purchase and give back to the artist in that way as well. Otherwise, streaming I think is also good just by supporting them. They obviously get some money. It's just like fraction of the amount that purchasing the actual album does. But yeah, in the meantime, reach out to me on Instagram or reviews. You can personal message me too if that's more your speed. But yeah, otherwise, I will see you next week. Bye.